Imagine reopening a police case that was closed decades ago, only to find your own handwriting on every page. Same ink, same signature, dated years before you ever joined the force. In the abandoned Hollow's End station, 5 missing person files suddenly reappeared, and now a 6th one has been added. Your name, your photo, your case. And the last line on the report reads, "Status missing." Detective Ethan Cross had sworn he'd never return to Hollow's End, the town that nearly destroyed his career 15 years ago. But when headquarters called, saying they'd reopened the old Vanishing Files, he couldn't refuse. 5 people had gone missing in 1998. No bodies, no clues, no answers. The case was closed after a mysterious fire destroyed all evidence. Or at least, that's what Ethan thought. The archivist who contacted him said something strange. The missing files had reappeared on her desk, perfectly preserved. Now, as Ethan stood before the old Hollow's End police station, wrapped in fog and silence, he felt something deep in his gut telling him to turn back. But he didn't. The door creaked open. The air inside was stale, cold, and thick with dust. His flashlight flickered across old desks, broken typewriters, shattered glass, and a single table in the evidence room, where 5 brown folders lay neatly stacked. He stepped closer. Each label carried a familiar name: Clara Ridge, Henry Mallon, Grace Lowry, Samuel Trent, unknown male. When he touched the first file, his hand froze. His own handwriting stared back at him. His signature, his initials. But the dates were wrong. Each report was signed 3 years before he'd ever joined the department. He felt a chill climb his spine. Maybe someone was mocking him. Maybe this was an elaborate prank. But when he flipped open the folder, it wasn't fake. There were real photos, real witness statements, and a transcript of an interview, one he apparently conducted. The handwriting matched his perfectly. That night, Ethan checked into Hollow's End Inn, the only place still open in the ghost town. The elderly innkeeper, Mrs. Donahue, looked at him with trembling eyes. "You investigating again?" she asked softly. He nodded. She sighed. "Then don't stay more than 3 nights, detective. They don't like it when the old memories wake up." "They?" he asked. She pointed toward the ceiling. "The ones who never left." Later that night, he was woken by a scratching noise from inside the walls. It wasn't random. It was rhythmic, deliberate, almost like tapping in Morse code. He followed the sound to the wardrobe. Inside, faint moonlight revealed something carved into the wood. 5 sets of initials. They matched the victims. Below them, new letters were scratched into the surface, still fresh and bleeding. E.C. his own. Ethan stumbled back, heart hammering. He tried to laugh it off, tell himself he was just tired. But when he looked again, the letters were gone. The next morning, he went back to the police station. This time, the old radio on the desk crackled to life. "Unit 4, proceed to Ridge Hill. Suspect sighted. Do not engage alone." It was his voice. A recording from 1998, a time when he wasn't even there. He grabbed the first file again. Clara Ridge, last seen near Ridge Hill. He followed the trail, driving through the thick fog until he reached a crumbling chapel deep in the woods. The structure leaned sideways, eaten by vines, its roof half collapsed. Inside, the smell of ash and mold filled the air. Black symbols covered the walls, circles, names, dates, drawn in soot. And then he saw the mirror, cracked, filthy, yet somehow reflecting too clearly. When he looked into it, he didn't see his tired reflection. He saw himself in uniform, younger, wearing a sheriff's badge with the Hollow's End emblem. The reflection smiled. "You came back," it said. "You always come back, Ethan stumbled backward, knocking over an old pew. When he looked up again, the reflection was gone. But in the distance, faint whispering echoed through the chapel, like dozens of voices speaking at once. And then the smell of burning paper. The same scent from the fire that supposedly destroyed the original files. Back at the station, he dug through old logs and found something that made no sense. His name was listed on the roster, paired with a deputy, Matthew Wren. He didn't know anyone by that name, but the entry was dated 1995. He followed the address listed next to Wren's name. The farmhouse was barely standing, roof collapsed, walls blackened by time. Inside, the air was stale, but everything was left untouched. A coffee mug, a coat draped over a chair, a badge on the table. Wren's badge. And on the wall, a framed photograph. Two men standing outside the Hollow's End station, both smiling. Ethan Cross and Matthew Wren. The date at the bottom, August 1995. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. He backed away, the floorboards groaning under his feet. Then he saw it, movement in the hallway, a flicker of shadow. When he turned, no one was there. But a whisper followed him out the door. "We shouldn't have opened it, Ethan." He drove straight back to the station, shaking, terrified. When he entered the evidence room again, his flashlight beam hit something new. A sixth folder. It wasn't there before. The label read case for 224, Ethan Cross. Status missing. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside were photographs of himself, walking through the station, entering the inn, standing at Ridge Hill. Each one time-stamped for tomorrow's date. The final photo showed him right there, in the evidence room, staring at the same file. And in the corner of the photo, barely visible, stood a dark silhouette, someone behind him. Ethan turned slowly. Standing there in the flickering light was a man wearing his old sheriff's uniform. Pale face, hollow eyes, black smile. "You're late," the figure whispered. "It's your turn to vanish." The lights went out. When they came back on, the folder was closed. The room was empty. The air was still. Days later, surveyors found the station door open. No one was there. On the desk, 6 folders lay neatly stacked. The chief reviewing them said they were all written in the same handwriting. The same signature, spanning decades. And the last page of the final file contained a note written in red ink. "The Hollow keeps its own records. If you find this, do not open the next file." He put the file down, shaking. But as he turned to leave, something caught his eye. Another folder sat quietly on the desk beside the rest. He hadn't noticed it before. The label Reedy Case, 5225, Chief Daniel Harris. Status pending. The chief froze. And from the far end of the hallway, the sound of footsteps began, slow, deliberate, coming closer. He turned toward the door. But the door had vanished.